Welcome to the Counteract YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for this short video tutorial.
Right, hello everyone, welcome to this sales analysis webinar. I hope you can see our screen and you can hear us okay. This is Phil here and Felicity as well.
Hello.
And as usual we're recording this webinar, so if you don't have a chance to listen to all of it, then you can pick it up later on our YouTube channel. And just before we start, I will check we are recording it properly because we had a little bit of a problem with our speaker. But yeah, that looks like that's recording okay. So yeah, we'll put that up on the YouTube channel before we start. So thankfully, Felicity's going to do most of the talking today. We'll crack on.
Right, jolly good. So sales analysis is the topic for today. Much of sales analysis is also available. I mean, the way it works is basically the same in purchase analysis. Sales analysis is just much more popular and generally used. So the first thing I thought I'd explain was the different sales analysis codes that you can have on your system. So if I go into a customer here and look at the analysis tab here, I have on our system 5 account analysis codes. These are completely different depending on your system. You can have up to 8 of them. Analysis codes can be used not only for analysing the sales that you do to the different types of customer, but throughout the system there are masses of places where reports or actions can be chosen by account analysis code. So for instance, this bottom email one is all about being able to separate out. When you're doing emails, you can actually raise invoices just for customers who want to have them emailed, raised, and then actually do the emailing, but using that analysis code. And that one is definitely one where if you've got the little flag here that says documents emailed set, it will automatically set this to yes. So that's a different sort of analysis code to some of the others. Whilst I think about that and the automatic updating of that, as an absolute aside really, if you think of anything that you want as a code here, so you want to be able to choose customers by one of the things you've got a flag for, or by customers, I don't know, turnover, you can have that set. Oh, horrible black screen.
Let's get rid of that. Oh, come on. Could you just press? There you go. There you go. I think it's an update thing. Okay.
So we've got, on our system, we've got rep, which we seem to have a separate table for it. Often a rep will also be a salesman, so you would just have access into the salesman table. We here are identifying what sort of trade our customers have got, so we can contact them according to that. We just analyse according to that. Home branch is a popular one if you've got a multi-branch system, so that you can be aware of what the sort of branch that looks after the customer. This one is one that is not for analysis but is for contacting customers. We've got this set as a way of monitoring customers we're having a bit of a dispute with, so we can have a look at what's going on for all the customers that we're taking legal action against or whatever. That is probably about it on all those account analysis codes. If I go to display customer details and look at the same customer, and go and look at an invoice, here is where we start to see document analysis codes. So document analysis codes are to do with invoices, credit notes. And on our system, again, you can have up to 8 of them. we've got 7, and we've got department, sale type. Most people would have sale type. Most people would have sale type and branch. Sometimes you can have originating branch, so if a quote's raised somewhere, sales done somewhere else, you can see where the quote was raised because an order was raised. Likewise with salesman, you can have an originating salesman, sale type, collected, delivered, direct, it could be direct. Here we have the rep. Again, I'm not sure that's actually been defaulting down from the account code. I'm not quite sure about the point of that one on this, but there we are. And customer type is an automatic recording of the system which can record whether the sale is account 1, branch, non-credit, retail, trade, or actually a rebate invoice from your supplier, so that you can exclude rebate invoices is one way of doing that. And then vehicle, if you use delivery scheduling and it's a delivered sale, it would have the vehicle that was used. I think, yeah, there's another one with that example, but I will, meantime, move on to items. These are the item analysis codes that you have, that on the screen here you can just see in sort of shorthand format down the bottom here. So I've got this ordinary price book product, and so I've got a product code for it, and this is actually the product analysis, and this is the actual product code. You'll see how that is different when we go and look at the special. We use categories on our system, but this doesn't seem to have a category. B is for whether it's a book or a special product. So that one's B. When I go on to the special, it's S for a special. This is telling me, this is a sort of complex code that you can have stored in the back of the system. This is telling me that this is an account collected book non-quoted product. And normally we would just use, bits of this code. It stores all this information. But if you suddenly decided you wanted to look at the split between account and cash, we would sometimes use the first letter of this to do some analysis. Product BIF is BIF pack code on our system. If you've got the BIF pack waste management scheme, then you record the BIF pack code on each sale so that goes towards the reporting. And then on our system again, we've got the rack location being recorded, probably just because you can. Whoa! What is this doing?
I don't know. It keeps doing it.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Right. So that is that.
So that's. And can you have 8 of those as well?
You can have 8 of those, yes. So 8 out of each. So you can have 8 account, 8 document, and 8 item analysis codes, and those for doing sales analysis. You do have a whole load of other analysis codes on CRM, but they are really purely for choosing contacting a CRM. You can't do analysis by those. So moving on to the analysis menu. First of all, I thought I'm going to show you how to set sales analysis files up, but if we just sort of look at one first to just explain what we're talking about when we're setting it up, so that makes sense. Here we are, simple gross margin analysis, so very simple sale margin cost type analysis, report or Excel. If I just choose report, when I click on analysis file number, up comes a whole list in alphabetical order according to code. Well, actually it's not an alphabetical order because it shows all the account ones first. It's got invoice account, normal account. Invoice account is if you use statement accounts which sort of own sub-accounts, a bit like in the purchase ledger you've got NNBS as an account owning sub-accounts. The invoice account is the sub-account and the account is the parent account. In most systems you don't have the idea of statement account, so account is absolutely fine. Down here, and you have 4 different levels that you can go to. To just show you what it can look like, I'm going to show you salesman and branch used. Price used, sorry. Okay. And I'm just leaving it at 31st of July, and I don't want it to give me a salesman per page, and I shall just say OK, and up it comes on the screen, and we can see very quickly this is showing me this period with sales cost margin and the margin percent, and then we've got a year-to-date, financial year-to-date figure there. So Phil has been the one doing all the work in July, and this is broken down. That price used just shows you the different sort of price used breakdown you can have, whether it was a customer terms by product or a special net price that's been entered, or it's picking up a quantity break, and you can see Phil is demonstrating all sorts of different ways of using prices on the system regularly. So this just gives the breakdown per salesman with an overall total at the bottom. It's a simple gross margin analysis. So now, how do you set up more of those files that we've got there? In define analysis files, you can suddenly see all the three sets of analysis codes that we've been talking about: account, document, and item. These R's are to do with redefining some of these ones. In this case, they can redefine any of these, but the idea is that product analysis was 8 digits, and you possibly want to be able to analyse by just the first code. So we've got R2, which says just look at the first item.
The first letter?
The first letter
usually,
of the product code. This is something that we set up for you in the background, the redefinitions. So when systems always have this breakdown to match your different product structure, code structure. And so we've got R1 for the minor group, 2 digits, R2 for the major group, which is the first digit. Then we've got R3, which is the cash account that I was mentioning, which is based on this type of sale code. So we can do analysis by that. And then here are the account and invoice account I mentioned. And you can also do analysis by delivery point. I don't know that many people have used that, but it does seem to be available. So to look for one that's existing, you can just do search and you just see a whole list. And in that way, when you search, you can actually delete existing ones. Many apologies for this black box that keeps appearing. Add a new one. We've got our different levels here, and I want to do salesman, so I can just type in D4, and then I can just go to the next one, and I want to do major group, so I'm going to do R2. The default is to keep it for 25 periods, which is kind of a sensible time to have it for. Definitely gives you 2 years. Yeah, can be changed, can be different, but the default is 25. Transaction detail here lets you drill down into see from an option called display sales analysis. You can use the analysis files you've got, and you could say, right, okay, for one person, for a particular major group, what are the actual invoices that go to make that up? So I'll show you that in a minute, and we will tick this one with transaction detail. Once you've prepared it, you just say save, and it's telling me it already exists. Because I thought I'd deleted it.
But you hadn't. You did it earlier on. Here's one you did earlier. Well, it doesn't matter. You don't have to save it. You just go to it.
I should just say no. Yeah. If although I would quite like to say yes, because I will say yes. Because I want to show you this screen, which you really want to take the default, unless you're absolutely certain that you're happy for your screen to be completely locked up for some time. So you say yes, and it prepares it overnight, and it's ready the next night. And just a warning, don't do too many at once, because it might not like it, the system, too many overnight. So we shall say yes to that, because that just goes away quickly. And we've already got the one we prepared earlier. So that is that. Now, if I go to simple gross margin analysis, I can show you some of the other things in here. I've got the option to go to an Excel spreadsheet. As soon as you choose Excel spreadsheet, you've got different choices down here. If I choose my file 66, and to get to it, I could actually sort by this column, and here it is, without having to plod through. There's my July. Now I can choose whether or not to have those year-to-date figures when I'm doing this. I can choose whether to show last year's figures and compare in there. I can actually hone in on analysis code, so I could just say, right, the only one I'm interested in is Phil, because it's his review. We want to know what he's doing. And here we are. I can, all of a sudden, because it's a spreadsheet, it doesn't matter how wide it is, it can have individual months. And then when I do individual months, it then says, okay, for your individual months, what do you want to see? Do you want to just see sales and costs, so 2 columns, or do you want to see margin percentage? And if you do, I think if you do shift, you could do margin percentage and sales. Oh no, you
Control.
can't. Control, that's the one. Yeah. Control. I don't want to see both. I just want to see margin percentage. And okay. So I've got all those things now. So if I just say okay there, up comes the individual months. Come on. Shake it. There we go. So I've got a nice spreadsheet with, for the financial year, the margin percentage for each of my major groups. To do with as you will.
Yeah, good.
So we don't say that. So there we are.
So that's simple gross margin analysis.
That's nice simple gross margin. Now, the all singing or dancing bit of sales analysis inquiry, where it's all on the screen, but we can choose whether we're wanting to do this period or rolling 12 months. And we can compare with the previous rolling 12 months if we wish, or last financial year, whatever we wish. I don't want to make any comparison this time. I can say what analysis do I basically want to do. So if I want to do salesman here, up comes instantly the salesman. If I want to change my mind, actually really I want to do major group. Here comes my different major groups with different values here. I can click on this column and it would go to smallest first, click again, it goes to biggest first. I can sit on one of those and I can go down into greater detail with a minor group, and in fact we've got no other. This depends on how many other 2-level analysis codes you've got. If I go back to salesman, which I was looking at, and I can choose salesman and major group, which is the one we added, and I can sit on the fill one, which is the biggest, and drill down. Oh,
Double click. Yeah.
Oh, I count and yeah, I've gone down to another level here by mistake. Let's go back.
If you double click on our account, I think
Yeah,
it'll go down to.
I need to go back to salesman.
Okay.
And
No.
salesman and major group. Rolling 12 months. Was this not the demonstration we were doing earlier? where we had all the data looking absolutely wonderful. Account looks pretty wonderful. If you choose all, you can do it for one account and then drill down within one account, or you can choose all accounts, and again you can do this sorting, and you can have this, and depending on, you can then say, right, oh, which branch is this account buying from over the last 12 months? Oh, it's Monmouth, that's wonderful. And now we can go down into even greater level, so we can go down into the breakdown. But that account from Monmouth is purchasing, and you can keep looking into all these sorts of things. At any point, when you've got a list like this, you can decide whether you want to see sales, costs, margin, any of these different things. So we could say margin, and at any point we can decide whether we're showing period values, in which case it would give us separate months, rolling 12 months of course, so not a lot been going on all the time. I'll go back to the summary. I can do a chart totals, and instantly I get a pie chart. In fact, we've got a pie chart because this is what I used earlier today. You can change the style, and you can have a column chart like that, and it will change and show you.
You can drag that and make it bigger, can't you?
That's right, you can change that as big as you like. You can move it out of the way, and then you can start looking at different levels and account and branch. So,
do a lot of stuff at Monmouth.
Yes, that's
not much at Ross.
No. Oh right, yes, no, not much at Ross at all. And we also have, where's the quick view gone from?
Get a list. All.
All, indeed.
But you don't get a quick view unless you just drill down into it, I think.
I think it's because I'm not just doing this period.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, it's an easy report to have a look at, certainly in graphical, and you can have a play with it. And the fact that you can just drill down, if there's information there, you can just drill down into it. It's very powerful. And of course, as Felicity said anyway, when you've got the blue and white screens, you can right click and put it straight into Excel as well if you wanted to. So yes. It is a very interactive little report, and it's certainly worth having a play with.
It definitely is, yes. And you do have, and if you, you can just keep
drilling down,
drive yourself mad.
Keep drilling down and splicing the same information in just different ways, isn't it? Depending on your analysis codes you've got.
Yeah.
So that's probably the easiest report to have a play with for the analysis side. That's the one to start with, I think. Yeah.
And that is all based on what you've got in here.
Yeah.
So if you can't see the drill down that you want, you need a 2-level or 3-level that you haven't got already. We also have display sales analysis, which can be quite useful for looking into things in more detail. I think again we want to look at our 66, I think, and I know what's gone on. Or no, I have shown them already this. If I want to look at just the major groups, July. There we go. So I've got it on the screen now, all the different sales quantity, all that information. And if there's one that's puzzling me, I want to know what on earth this Z45P is about, I can just click and go down to that level, and hey presto, there's the invoice it's on. And I can drill down again, and I can go into the invoice, and here's all the different products. And as I work my way down, I would be able to find what the Z was for. There we go, actually, it's that product there.
It's a timber process.
Yes, a timber process.
Timber process,
That's right,
yeah.
45p.
Yeah.
And you can just keep going down and look at the different invoices and drill down into them, see what else was being bought, who the customer was as well there. Pricing, so all the other things are there as well. So that is quite a powerful tool, I think, sometimes in certain. But as long as you know these things are there, I think probably they're going to be useful in different circumstances. The analysis reports are definite, customized, you decide what you have on them, reports based on these analysis files. So if you wanted to then use one, we'll just show you how you use one. You've got reports which you can send to Excel or a report, analysis report. For instance, we've got this one here, top 100 customers by margin, rolling 12 months. So I can say OK to that one to run it. Oh, sorry, and I did mean to say all these columns over here are showing me what has been defined for this. So for this one, column 1 is going to show me sales this period. Column 2 is going to show me a margin this period, margin value this period. Column 3, sales year to date. Column 4, margin year to date. And then we've got sales last year to date. So if I decide that's the one I want to use, I can just say which period I want it to be, period ending, and off I go onto my spreadsheet, and I've got that for top 100 customers, except we haven't got 100, but never mind.
No.
We haven't done sales to 100 customers.
I mean, you can get all that sort of information out of that inquiry we looked at before, didn't we?
Yes.
But it's in some ways you define what you want on that report, don't you? And
yeah,
it's
and
there.
and if you want to print something out, if you want to do your, and you do have. If we just have a very quick look at where you're defining them, you define and you say add, and this says first of all gives you your list of files that you want to base your list on. And so if you were wanting to do something else with account, you choose account, and then here's where you define what your column values are and what your time span is. And so this is where it's all built up from. And here's how you decide whether you want it to be in descending order or not. I think it's all fairly self-explanatory once you start using it, and you can have up to 8 columns with all the different choices.
And once you do one, you can just amend it anyway, can't you?
You
try it and build it up and save it and play with it. Yeah.
So that's there, and so those are reports as opposed to files. Customer sales analysis is very refined and purely to do with account analysis codes. And if you do things like changing the home branch and then want to see what the business was with the new home branch that you've just given it, you need to use this analysis file. It's using the same analysis files but purely account ones, but it gives you the current value but with past data, and is rarely used but could be useful in certain circumstances. Then we finally have the product sales inquiry, which we've seen before probably in other circumstances. It doesn't rely on any of the analysis files at all, but it is a very powerful analysis tool. It does have the ability to choose by these account analysis and document analysis codes, but basically it has a screen inquiry version plus Excel and report. You can choose whether to include your work in progress sales, i.e. things that haven't become invoices yet. You can choose what date your report is based on in terms of advice note, returns note. So I'll say advice note entered date, and then you can choose your date range. So on this system, that's rather slim on data. We have to put quite a large date range. I mean, it's not the 30th yet. And this is really aimed at examining what sales, what prices, who's buying, individual products or product ranges, or in fact a list of products. We'll go for an individual product and we'll just go for our basic cement and we'll just look at everything. We do have the ability to narrow that down. Actually, we will narrow it down. We'll say, so who have we sold to the postal code MP, which is our general postcode around this area. So I could put MP25 or whatever, and that would give me, or I could have put Monmouth, Chepstow.
Yeah.
I could have said anything like that in there. And now I've got a great big list of all the individual sales with the product repeated, because obviously I've got the same product that you might have chosen otherwise. It gives you the customer the price. I can sort by this column, so I can see where the low prices are, or I can sort on the grocery margin. Maybe I'm interested in high margins or low margins, and look at those. I can edit the columns that I've got here and have far less columns or more if I wish. And all the time as you're moving through, if I was arrow keying down, whoops, make contact with it, and arrow key down, it's telling me information about the price, the value, all this information here, what sort of price it was. And then I can also switch on a quick view that I can sit to the side and I can work through with my quick view showing me what was on there. And if I really want to look in more detail properly, I can actually double click and drill down into the sale itself. So that's just another way of looking at things.
That's really product based, isn't it? It's every bit of information, scrap of information relating to a product, sale of a product that you can get, and that's again, you need to be looking at these in graphical counteract definitely. And if you use any of these regularly, then if you right click on the report or the view, then you put it in your favourites, so you don't have to keep going to it, looking to it.
Yeah. So.
Is that about it?
Yes.
Today?
Oh, I know. Well, the one thing we haven't mentioned, I think we were just going to go and show how all over the place you have the account analysis code, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you've got analysis codes. So, for instance, the credit control report. If any of those, here's one that is a credit control type of option here. So if I want to just show ones which we're doing legal action with, I can just go and do legal action. Now, I'm not absolutely certain we're doing any with legal action, but I can, I don't want to do a report, I want to do it on the screen. And it's probably going to tell me there's nothing available now.
But it gives you the option that any of those reports from the analysis codes as well.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
So I could have gone,
Okay.
So that's the sort of thing.
So
there we go. I think that probably is.
So I just, if you haven't done, I mean, it's also worth saying, isn't it? Sales analysis is based on invoiced.
Absolutely,
so,
yes, invoiced.
Yeah, so it's also invoice sales. So, go and, if you haven't had a look at it, go and have a look and have a play with it. And any questions, contact support as usual, and they'll be more than happy to help. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. As usual, we'll put this up on the YouTube channel probably by the end of the week. Hopefully it will be in high definition as well this time. Next webinar is on the 17th of October, another Wednesday, and it's going to be Price Book 1. It's a part of the first of a two-parter, so that will be concentrated on pricing. So hopefully you'll be around for that one, and look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for your attention. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this short tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us on the information displayed on the screen for further assistance.